And
Hello and welcome to Sales Leaders Institute. I'm Shelley Carney.
and I'm Toby Younis. Thanks for joining us today. We have a very special guest, and you're going to meet her in just a second. Again, thank you for joining us today. We're continuing with our series of interviews with marketing and sales professionals as we go through this very unusual era in our history. I don't like calling it the pandemic era because I don't feel like it's going to last that long, but it certainly has affected what we call normal. And as a matter of fact, I heard an interview with Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's the virologist from the CDC, and Ryan Marie McGarry of the Washington metropolitan area. Full disclosure, Ryan is yet another of one of my daughters. So I guess I have to let you guys know in advance that all my daughters are in various various areas of the information technology industry. But I'm going to let her tell you exactly what she does. So hi, Ryan. Thank you for coming on today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So let's talk a little bit about your post-college business background. And you can mention the college that you went to, and then kind of how you got to where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm actually born and raised in the DC area. I left the DC area to attend a school in South Carolina by the name of Coastal Carolina University. I got my major in marketing, business marketing. My college career, I actually had an internship at a local web agency down there by my school. It got me pretty into web design, web development, the whole project management of a website start to finish. Went ahead and graduated college, got a job up in the DC area, and worked at a slightly larger web agency known as Market Hardware. So it was there where I kind of grew my career pretty significantly. Started as a website project manager, and through many 10 years of work there, went through a couple acquisitions with that company. So we were bought by a bigger organization known as Home Advisor. At the time, they were Service Magic. And really played at a small business. You kind of have to wear a lot of hats. So I've I've done anything from design work to development work to, building up a team of 15 people within 5 days just to get web work completed, to keep up with some of the sales that were coming through. And then took a little break from the workforce to raise two of my children. I started in 2015, I kind of exited the workforce to be home with my daughter, who is now 5. And I did stay home for the son that followed her. While I was home, I actually wanted to keep my foot in the business world. So I started my own design company while I was staying at home with them. It wasn't something that I wanted to make the next new, I didn't want to be the next new designer. I just wanted to make sure that I was staying in tune with what was going on in the world of websites and web design, and really just keep my foot in the business world as much as I could. And then it wasn't until end of 2017, where I realized I was ready to get back into the workforce, and got my current position at ATPCo, where I'm their digital marketing manager, and I run essentially all of their digital touch points outside of our application. So I can go a little bit more into that later.
In just a second, I'd like that. Do me a favor, though, before I give Shelley a chance. Could you tell everybody what the acronym ATPCo stands for?
Sure. So it stands for Airline Tariff Publishing Company. We've actually been around for 55 years, and the publishing part of it is because we used to, before the internet, publish books in our basement to really we run the airline fare data, right? So we're really the utility on the back end that whenever you book a flight, it runs through a series of rules and fares and things like that. And we've been really running those numbers for 55 years. So airline tariff publishing company. Publishing can kind of go away because we're not so much publishing fares in a book anymore, but they are getting obviously published to the digital space. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Shelley?
So, Ryan, you've been through a lot of changes and transitions over the past 10 years, especially having children and all of the things that go into that, and dealing with the out of the workforce, back into the workforce, all of that transitioning that you're doing. What keeps you balanced and focused when you're making all of these transitions?
I think it's really just presence of mind, just staying when you are somewhere, trying to stay as present as possible. And if I'm home, I try to just be home. And when I'm at work, I try to just be at work. In fact, a few people have said to me, why don't you pick up the calls when you're at work? And I'm like, I'm at work. Like I can't, my mind doesn't do that thing. So, I think it's you compartmentalize your life a little bit. And when I'm home, I try to stay home. And when I'm at work, I try to stay focused at work. And then as long as you're present, you can kind of find enjoyment in each side of it.
So tell us a little bit about the work. Now, I know you had a marketing major in school, but I don't remember you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember you focusing on design and art side of it. That seems to be something that you felt like you acquired naturally. So tell me a little bit about that period as you moved from the standard college marketing curriculum or field into one that required the combination of marketing, design, and technology, web technology. Yeah. Tell me a little bit. And I think that's how you ended up at ATPCo. Or is there a shorter way to say that?
No, unfortunately, there's not. And then we'll yell at you if you try to call us ATP.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, you're right. I mean, I didn't spend much time in college focused on, design or development or anything like that. In fact, I almost minored in psychology because I was so focused on, the psychology behind all of the decisions we make, which actually in a way plays pretty significantly into the web work, right? You want to understand who your users are, what their behavior is going to be so that you can optimize whatever you have going on. So I think what actually happened for me is I landed a series of jobs that kind of handed me this role. And what I found was I had this skill set that worked well for this type of business, right? So I have quite a strength, I would say, in design and the business side of things. But I also, I believe that I can also handle like a pretty deeply significant technical conversation. So I'm not just here doing all of the business goals and the business objectives. I can also actually take that and put it into a design and then carry it over into a team of developers or a team of technical people to really bring it all to life. I think I have something like right brain, left brain is mixing a little bit where it's like I can kind of do both of those things. And I've heard, that you don't normally find that out there. So
that's right. You don't. Shelley?
Yeah. So let's talk about your transition into this new time where I know you have children staying at home with you. I know Tom is staying home, and I know that the two of you are a really strong team together. So I'm sure that things are going great. I know you have a couple of pets, and it can be a full house a lot of the time. Plus, you're carrying a new baby. So quite a lot going on in your life. How are you handling all of the changes and the stress that are inherent in this time?
Yeah, it's quite a change from what we ever thought we'd be experiencing. That's for sure. So yeah, we have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old. We have 2 dogs and a baby on the way. So, I just keep saying it's one day at a time. I think it's more like 1 hour at a time sometimes. My husband works full time. We're both actually in this room together, and this room has actually turned into like a sign up room. We have a little bit of like a morning meeting, just the two of us, to figure out like what my schedule looks like, what his schedule looks like. We're actually trying to be very flexible, and both of the businesses we work with are pretty flexible too. So if we find we have a significant overlap where we're both running a 10 o'clock meeting, we'll try to shift things around depending on, whose meeting is more important. And either that or we relocate ourselves and try to keep the kids happy. But it's been a big change. I would say, you can't predict what a 3-year-old's going to do with his day. So trying to take breaks here and there just to make sure he's doing okay and that he's focused on something that's going to keep him entertained or challenged, whatever it might be. We thankfully have over the years collected a lot of different toys that can kind of challenge them, like these, magnets that he'll build in the basement. We do have a setup literally in this room for the kids. It's a arts table. So if they want to do coloring or any of their, learning books, they sit right here with us. And I'm slowly starting to be a little bit of a person that prefers email. So a lot of people are like, can we just hop on the call? And I'm like, it's not that easy to hop on a call right now. They're literally right here. So let's just cover this over chat if we can. So I think it's just finding flexibility in the people you work with. And, every once in a while when they do get on the phone with you, they can kind of understand what you're going through when they actually see it. But,
with babies and puppies running around, huh?
Yeah. And on top of that, the kindergartner has a morning meeting every day at 9 o'clock. So it's also shifted my meeting schedule a little bit. So she has to meet with her teacher and her friends, and they have schoolwork that, they're not getting completely graded on, but we do have to turn in. So it's a lot. Mm-hmm. Our days don't end. I mean, we try to get everyone down by, 8:30, and our days, we try to end it there, but sometimes we'll have to finish our workday after they go to bed.
So Shelley and I literally within the last week or so uploaded a video regarding what you need to do to establish this kind of home office environment. And you just described what I think is as the epitome of requirements, because one of the things, there was a slide and I remember it being parenting, partnering, and petnering. Like you have to accommodate those 3 things in the context of each of you and your partner having a life, and now your children having a life, and now your pets having a life. So it sounds like you two have pulled it all together. Not that I wouldn't have expected that you and Tom couldn't. You guys, as Shelley said, you're an excellent team. And I know, especially during this period with the baby on the way, that you guys will do fine. So I want you to talk a little bit about, I remember, I think it was last year, that you ended up in something called a hackathon. And having come from a technical background, I know what a hackathon is, and it's the kind of competition it is. And when you told me you were going, especially I think you ended up in Finland, was it? Yeah. When you said you were a member of the team, I don't know whether or not I expressed my surprise, but like, you're in marketing. Why are you going to a hackathon? So tell me about the hackathon experience.
Yeah. So, we every year the company tries to put on, the IT department really holds this hackathon, right? So you essentially volunteer to join a team and get together to try to build ideas that would typically not be something you'd build on your normal day-to-day 9 to 5. So it may be, some idea that you've always had. It may be something that could impact the business and help the business. And I was approached by a team of I would say highly technical people. There was one person from the business side, but he had technical background. So I was approached by them, and they were looking for somebody who could kind of bring it all to life. And I decided to join the team and really just took to the people, like if you can get along with a group if you can get along with your hackathon team and you guys start to create this dynamic that really works, I think it comes out in the work that we did. I do think that when you're looking at an IT hackathon, no other group had a marketer, no other group had any design help, and that's what took us to the next level. That's what brought our presentation. The marketing touch is really what brought the presentation home. In fact, going forward, my boss said, we need to make sure a marketer is on every single one of the teams going forward, because that's really what it took to take, the technical ideas that they have, that they also build on, and really bringing it to life, not just during the presentation, but also getting more technical people to think like a user would, right? Like, we're building this thing. Let's think about who's going to interact with it. How are they going to interact with it? Those might not be things that the technical developer would instantly go to as they're building. So I would say that everyone contributed to the team. I think they definitely said that I'm the one who brought their win in, only because they've had lost. I think they had gone to Prague, they had gone to India, they had several losses until I joined, and then they won at the corporate one, and then we won in Finland. So yeah, we won the blockchain award over in Finland, and we were hoping to keep taking the idea to the next level. So we'll see where it lands.
Oh, good. Shelley?
Okay, so you're a busy mom, working full time, kids, lots going on. How do you find time to take care of yourself, especially now that it's doubly important you take care of yourself because you're carrying a new baby? So where do you find the time? And then what are you doing for self-care?
I think I find my time in maybe little things, like, that, like on Monday, for example, it was a rough one for us. Just, you have those days, and I put the kids actually in this stroller that they haven't sat in forever. And I said, let's just walk. And I found this 2-mile route that just was like so amazing. And I got back and I felt so refreshed. And I had, honestly, I had them with me, but it was like they were quiet and we all just kind of needed it. I'm finding a little bit of peace in just being together with the family. It's this weird feeling of like, this is our pack. Like, we have to stay together. And that to me is kind of nice. Like, honestly, the kids we've been finding them in our bed more and more often through this whole thing, because I think they're clinging to us as well. Mm-hmm. For me specifically, I would say, that doesn't necessarily come until the weekend. And it's usually in very small bits and pieces. It's not like I'm able to do too much for myself right now, but I guess I just don't need that much.
Well, that's a very noble perspective. So talk a little bit about, if you would, please, how did we've been at this for about a month now, I think, for most people. How quickly did everybody in the house, the dogs, Tom, the kids, how did you work out the time and space thing, and where is it right now? I'm always wondering, how are the kids feeling about all this? How do they impact your day? How did everybody work out the time and space issues?
Yeah. I know you guys were joking how great Tom and I are as a team. I'm like, it took us like 4 weeks to get here. It wasn't instant. I mean, he could not believe, how many meetings I had. He's definitely less on the meeting side. But Mila, she's the 5-year-old. I think she got it after maybe a week or so of not seeing her friends, and started to click for her, like that everybody's getting sick and that we have to be safe. And the way that she tries to explain it to the little one, the 3-year-old, is very funny, that everybody has germs and we have to stay away right now. But she's happy. Like, she's a homebody. So that's made it a lot easier. She's independent and she's a homebody. So it hasn't made it too difficult. She's not like looking for friends. In fact, a lot of times we'll be on walks and she'll find some of her friends, because, they're all in the community attending the school that's closed. So the one thing that tripped her up was when the caution tape was wrapped around the playgrounds in the neighborhood, and she finally couldn't play, do her monkey bar thing that she loves to do. That's when she was like, oh, okay. Like, she asked me to take a picture next to the playground that had the caution tape around it just so she could send it to people. Manny, he's a 3-year-old. I don't know if he gets it yet. I mean, he's just too young. I ask him if he misses his friends. He still lists them. Like if he's telling me, things that he can't do in his life, like you can't hit my friends, and he starts listing his friends. So I think it took us about 2 weeks to get a good routine down. Like I think it took a little bit of tweaking and a couple, fights here and there about how loud people are in this house. But I think now they're getting it. Like when we say we're on a call, even just now, they're upstairs and I said, Mommy's going on her last call of the day. I mean, they don't really bother me while I'm on these calls. They kind of get it.
Okay.
Sometimes when they're in the frame, Manny likes it. The 3-year-old likes it, but the 5-year-old gets embarrassed and will stand like just outside of the frame. So she'll wait for me to be done.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say it took 2 weeks to actually feel like we had our rhythm down.
Shelley?
Do you have any advice for other families who the parents are both working from home, both working full time, trying to incorporate the kids in their schooling and the pets and just staying sane and not overly stressed? Do you have some advice for people on how to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I've made it sound like it's like too easy or something. It hasn't been easy at all. I would say if I had to give any advice, it's really just communication, like if you're feeling like something's just off or you're not able to, you're feeling guilty because you can't give your kids the attention they need, like communicate with your company, communicate with your boss and tell her like, I need to take a few hours of any time to just focus on them, or if you don't have hours to take, like make it up over the weekend or at night. But I would just say communication. I've had breakdowns with my boss to just say, look, I got to take the afternoon off. This is not my day. I've had, Tom and I have hit our break points, both of us. So you hit the break point and then you just try to get through it. I would say through communication would be the key.
So I know very much about how you've invested in your life from, your early school years through high school into college and the development of your career. As you look back on all of that, how do you feel about where you are right now? The right things, the wrong things, the good decisions, the bad decisions. How do you look back on that now and say, I'm okay with it or not okay? Where are you?
I think I am. You go back and forth a little bit. Like I think most days I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at. I think that there's of course some moments of, should I have ever exited the workforce? For me, I'd say the answer comes to me quickly. Like the answer was yes. I got some pretty great time with my kids and still was able to get back into the workforce and didn't really lose much. Definitely was afraid interviewing for the first time after being a stay-at-home mom and wondering if I had lost, everything I knew. But, a lot of times it's still there. It's just like riding a bike. As long as you have the same, you're still the same person. You still have the same skills. You can still get back into communication, even though you've been only talking to kids for 2 years. I think, life's a journey, and I think you just course correct if you're off. And I'm not sure I look back at any regrets. I would say, a few things about college. I graduated in 3.5 years, and I was always like, why didn't I stay that last 6 months and enjoyed some sort of, anything, like gone and done study abroad for that last semester or stayed down in South Carolina for a little bit longer, because you have really the rest of your life to work. So I rushed back up here to get a good job. But, maybe it's like, then you counter that with, if I hadn't have graduated early, maybe I wouldn't have landed this job and maybe I wouldn't have been here. So yeah, I don't think there's anything that sticks out specifically that I have regrets about.
Look at that, and I hope that you have no regrets, because it's always struck me that you're one of those people that learns one way or the other, good or bad. You learn from it and you move forward. Last question, Shelley.
So I'm just kind of wondering if you were to ask for any kind of support during this time, or if you think of friends or other family members who are needing some kind of support, what kind of support would be most helpful to you or to friends and family members at this time?
Yeah, sometimes I wish somebody would come pick up the 3-year-old every once in a while, but trying to keep the social distance thing going. I don't know. I think these calls, these video chats are really helpful to just stay connected. Obviously reaching out to them, making sure they're doing okay. I mean, I think my friends and I haven't group chatted this much in a long time because we're just, we just have to make sure we're all okay. So I think that's it. Just, yeah, and get on the video chat too. It's fun. A lot of people we're pretty much required at our office to turn ours on, but I'll talk to another agency in the area and they'll have theirs off and they said, oh, maybe we'll turn ours on. And it changes things. You get to see faces and smiles and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's just one other point to that. Tom had a call with some work people on a Friday and he was like, man, I really miss talking to people. Do you miss it? And I said, I feel like I'm getting a lot of it throughout the day. I'm on a lot of calls doing these video things. So I think it really does help.
Yeah, it's no replacement for face-to-face social interaction, but we're learning very quickly as a society how to take advantage of it, how to use it. It's available to us, may as well. That's what's kind of neat for me for it. So last question, what's in the future for Ryan Marie McGarry?
Well, we have a lot going on. We have a baby due in 3 months. So just looking to raise another son. Going to keep working hard. I don't know if I should do a big reveal here, but we're looking at relocating out of the Virginia area, back down actually to the Charleston area, close to where I went to school, to start the family, the family life that I was really looking for my kids. So we have a lot going on, a new baby, potentially a home sale, a move at the end of this year. So just trying to, keep everyone happy through the whole thing.
Well, you have to be your family, including Tom, the kids. You literally are the most adventurous, I think, of people that I know, because it is always something new with you, whether it's having babies, making moves, looking for new opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. And I appreciate that about you. You've always been very good at the transition, as Shelley mentioned, and you always seem to come out of it. Not that there aren't trials and tribulations associated with every transition, but I think you've done an amazing job of handling each one and coming out the other side of that transition in a positive and productive way. So it makes me very proud
Thank you.
as your father. So
thank you.
all right, Shelley, I think that's it for us today. You want to say your goodbyes, please?
Thank you all for being here, for watching today. We appreciate you. And if you would like to have your own interview on Sales Leaders Institute channel, please contact us by email at salesleadersinstitute@gmail.com. And we'd love to set that up with you. And I'm Shelley Carney.
Thanks for joining us today. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I thought this was very informative and educational for the folks that are out there right now, because it proves that the whole parenting, partnering, partner thing can work, because I really feel like you guys are doing a great job of it. Not, as you said, not that there aren't moments, but I think you're doing a great job, and it shows in kind of the happiness that you have with where you are right now. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I look forward to it. And thanks for joining us today. Look forward to visiting with you on Friday. We don't have an interview. We're going to talk a little bit about, we get this question, why we incorporate sales into Leaders Institute. We're going to talk a little bit about that and explain why that word is there. So join us on Friday. Until then, thanks again.